Guys, it's Lindsay. We're going to do the Divine Partners reading. As always, this is a group reading, so if you don't feel like any of these messages are for you, then you don't have to take them. I do personal readings, and that link is in my bio. But let's get into it. So, Divine Partners, if I use terms like masculine or feminine, it does not identify a gender. It, in fact, identifies a essence, I guess you would say, right? So whoever takes on more of that essence in the partnership or the possible partnership. And it's funny because as soon as I walked in the room, I was like, I need to do a Divine Partners reading, because I literally have like coffee, water, and there's another water over there, and there's another one over there, and I just kept getting the message, they are thirsty. They are thirsty, and it's like they can't get enough. They are thirsty, and it's not funny. I get 10 of Cups right off the top. Like, they want all of you. They're thirsty for this, and they can't get enough, and that's literally what's happening here. It's almost like a celebration of who you are, a celebration of like they just want to be in your essence, right? So they just want to be a part of whatever you're a part of, and they're like really thirsty for it, which is great, because there's something also with the Eight of Swords coming in too, where in the past, you know, people who you've been connected to romantically in the past have kind of cut away at you and cut away at parts of you that you identified with, or maybe they didn't like or they didn't align with, but they didn't hold space for those parts. So this person holds space for these parts, and they just want to know all of you, and they're thirsty for all of you, like everything. And a lot of this actually coming through for many of you is for the mind. Okay, so some of you may be intellectually gifted, okay, and it feels like they really love that about you. They love understanding your mind, and they just want to know how your mind works, and getting to know you in that way too. So it's not just about the physical, okay? And there is physical attraction, but it's like they love just getting under and understanding everything about you. They want to know about who you are. And so let's get a little more into it. I do feel for some of you, you may have met this person through a friend or a friend group, because again, we have the 10 of Cups that's coming in here, and that's friend related, right? That's community related. That's being around other people, and that feels like the way this connection kind of came in. And they met you, and they're like, oh my god, you know. In some ways, it feels like too, like when you first met each other, you were introduced, and you hold out your hand to like meet somebody, and they're just like, and like they don't even say their name, because they just can't. They can't even verbalize anything. They're just staring at you, and it's like their friend like taps them, and they're like, hey, say your name, like introduce yourself, like what is wrong with you? And that's kind of the energy that I'm getting, is like they just couldn't even get beyond your aura. They were just locked in, and they just couldn't even like verbalize, is the way it's coming through. It was very noticeable to you as well as the way it's showing up. So I don't know if you guys know, but obviously there are certain cues, right? When someone, physical cues, when someone is interested in you, right? And like one of them is like their eyes will go really wide, right? Or like they will dilate. So if they're looking at you, their eyes will dilate. And also adjusting themselves a lot in your presence, and like the nervousness, that's also a cue. If you notice, like with other people, they're talking to other people and they're fine, they're not like adjusting themselves, but if they're constantly adjusting themselves, that's a cue that they like you, you know, you make them nervous. And like the widening of the eyes is quite literally a visceral reaction, you know, a subconscious reaction to show that they are interested in you, right? Same thing with the dilation. It's like nothing you can control. You know, you can't control if your eyes are gonna dilate, right? That's so it's like definitely they had all of these things when you first met them, and stuttering and falling over themselves a little bit, and I think it kind of endeared them to you. You're like, wow, like I haven't had that reaction in a while, or like I you know, I didn't realize, like, you know, you were just being yourself, right, is the way here. And so now they've gotten a little taste and they just are thirsty as anything, right? And so the other thing that's coming in here, and I do want to say, so for one or for both of you, there is the Eight of Wands. So I'm not so much looking at the Eight of Wands as the card as I know it. What I'm looking at is this image. So there's a lot of people around you, energy around this connection that are like interested in what's happening here too. So this may be like past people, past exes, things like that. So I want you guys, like, as you're kind of connecting, it may be advisable for you to like keep it on the low, you know, not overly share about it, and really let your connection grow, and not like post on social media or, you know, post all these things, because I feel like this is the beginning of this connection. It really needs to be nurtured and kind of like a little bit hidden. It may already be obvious to friends and family, obviously, you know, but like on a larger social scale, I think keeping this to yourself for a little bit, it really needs to be nurtured, okay? Because you have something really beautiful here. Because I also feel like this person is a giver in many ways, right? And they just want to give to you, right? So that's literally what this whole romance reading is like. They are thirsty and they just want to give to you all the time, and they want to nurture this connection. And it's also this essence, like as I said, it's not just about the physical, but it's like the mental too. And so like they're willing to hold off on the physical in many ways, the way it's coming through, just to know more about you and your life, and you know who you are other than that, okay? And that might even make it even better if you guys haven't had a physical relationship yet, to kind of hold off, because I feel like it's like laying down some groundwork. So this is like where the groundwork is being laid, and you want to make a really strong connection, not just a hot and fast connection. I think both of you had the intention of making this a really strong and long-term connection, and it's also nice for you too, because I feel like you are not often the receiver in a relationship, okay? So like in past relationships, you've done a lot of the work, both mentally, emotionally, all these things. And for many of you, the way this comes through is like people who bear the mental, emotional weight in a relationship, you know, and that created a toxic and or unhealthy environment in prior relationships. But you are naturally someone who is giving in yourself, and because of that, you were bearing the mental, emotional weight in these past relationships, and you recognize that, and you don't want to do that anymore. And not to say that you can't hold space in this relationship, because you do want to, but it's like this other person just so wants to hold space for you and take care of you in like all the ways that you want to be taken care of. So that foundational work is really, really important right now, okay? And it's also, here's the other thing. So particularly for, and now I am going to talk about actually gender, right? So particularly for the feminine, the female, right? So when a woman is in a relationship that nurtures and nourishes her, she glows, right? Like she just naturally becomes more beautiful, physically more beautiful. She becomes more desirable. She becomes like, she lights up when she is in a relationship that mentally, emotionally, and physically nurtures her, okay? Women's energy doubles and triples and quadruples what it is given, right? So if it is given, you know, difficulties, if it is given hardship, if it is given struggle, if it's given heaviness, depression, like all these things, these energies women will take on, right? So in a lot of the times, this will show up in their physical appearance, or like an illness or things like that. And I'm very much saying this generally, but you know, I have seen this, you know, and so I do think that this is the type of relationship where if you are the female in the relationship, or the feminine presenting in the relationship, this is like the type of relationship where you would be nourished, and where you would actually be glowing up and like just looking like you're being taken care of, like very like well taken care of, like in a goddess way, because we have Ishtar, and Ishtar is the force. So it's essentially like you're becoming a force to be reckoned with, because you are being taken care of, you are being held, and you are being contained in a way in which is soft and loving and nourishing to you, right? And that's the way it's coming through. In the past, you had like this awful energy, like, which was just like draining you, okay? And now you're coming into this relationship and you're like, wow, I didn't realize this could be like this, right? And I'm not talking about someone who is like love bombing. That's not what we're talking about here at all. They're not like front loading you with love just to abandon you. That's not what we're talking about here. So I want you to be very discerning about whether or not this is the connection that you're having right now. What I'm talking about is about someone who is able to go the distance, who wants to have longevity with you, and not just longevity, like they want to take care of you for a long period of time, and like they show up like that, okay? So it's not just their words, but it's also their actions. And on the other side of that, they also take care of themselves, right? So here's the other thing that's coming through as well in this relationship. So for someone to be able to adequately take care of you and nourish you in a relationship, they also have to take care of themselves and nourish themselves and know what that looks like, right? So, and this goes for everybody. So if you don't know how to nourish yourself or take care of yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, how are you going to offer that to another person? You just can't, because you don't have the structure to understand how to offer that, right? So when you're coming into this relationship and you both recognize that you can take care of and nourish each other equally and show up for each other equally, and that you care about that, and it's like one of your priorities, this is the type of relationship that's coming through here. So it's really about that, like, really beautiful relationship that I would want to read for, okay? And let's get a little bit deeper. I'm gonna see if there's any specifics for anybody, okay? And I'm also like really like I'm in the camera, but I can like see my eyes, and like I'm getting also the other thing that might be specific. They may have really intense eyes, or like an eye gaze when they look at you too. That's the other thing that's coming through. So like they're really, I was saying they were locked in when they first met you, like that's what I'm getting, is like their gaze is very intense. And they're also, the other thing that comes in too is they're very respectful of your boundaries in a way that you haven't had before. So like they ask, like, is this okay? Is this not okay? What do you like? What do you don't like? And even just in like basic conversation, like they're very mindful of like, you know, is it okay? Can I hold your hand? Is it okay? Do you mind if I sit next to you? Like, they're very mindful of your boundaries, your possible boundaries, and what makes you feel good or not feel good. And not only are they mindful, but they also voice it. Okay, so that's the other thing. So someone can be mindful of boundaries, but they don't actively seek to find out where your boundaries are. And that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone who constantly checks in with you. Like, is this good? Is this not good? Like, what feels good for you? What doesn't feel good for you? You know, what do you like? They actually want to know what you like and what you don't like, okay? And they use that information, as I'm saying again, and they use it to nourish you, right? And there's no weirdness to this, like, because for some ways, I feel like people, you know, get confused with, like, people who like manipulate, like they want to find out information just to manipulate you. There's a very different sensation from someone who wants to do that to someone who is doing it out of the genuine concern and desire, you know, to be there for you, okay? And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about someone who has genuine concern and desire and who wants to be there for you and show up in the way that you need. And there's also this sense of maturity to this person, okay? They've been through some things and they've seen some things, and you know, it's they're also very aware of their own boundaries, because again, we're talking about, you know, we're talking about how can you show up in a relationship if you don't show up for yourself in that way, right? This person, how can they show up for your boundaries and ask about your boundaries if they don't already do that for themselves? And they do. They always speak up for their own boundaries, and they speak up for the boundaries of the people around them, which is really rare these days also. So they're the one, when something is wrong, they'll say something. And that's the way this is coming through, is like there's someone, you know, like if they see something out in public and they're like, hey, like that's not cool, like what are you doing? Like they'll be the first one to speak up, you know. And that's a very rare quality these days, because so many people would just go along with the herd and just, you know, not speak up when something is wrong. And that's not what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing like someone has a very strong sense of moral dignity, and they're just like, you know, they are aware of their boundaries, they're aware of your boundaries, and they're just like, I just want to be there, right? I just want to be there. So this is definitely, yes, exactly. This is what I'm talking about. This is king energy. So a king, particularly the King of Pentacles, knows about boundaries. He knows about boundaries. He's like the expert on boundaries and how to hold boundaries and how to hold other people's boundaries, okay? And that's like, this is especially good for someone like, this is like giving when you're out in public, and if someone says something that's a little off color, or like literally does something that's not right, but like particularly around you, this giving like protective energy, and not in a toxic way, like in a really like turn on way, right? Like when someone is like firm on boundaries, especially around their partner, that's a turn on, right? Like this is what the King of Pentacles is about. He's like, don't speak to my partner like that. Don't disrespect my partner like that. They would be the one, like if they had a friend who like ever disrespected you, they would drop that friend in a second, right? Like this type of energy. Like even if they've been friends forever, and if they see somebody, like especially if it's a friend and they disrespect you or someone in their circle, in a second. This because it's like they recognize when someone is not a true friend, and if there was ever to come to pass, and like I said, we're going back again to this Eight of Wands energy, right? So we have people in your area who are possibly jealous, who want to know about what's happening with this relationship, who may be disrespectful of the boundaries around this connection as it's growing. In a second, they would drop them, and like, yeah, they would literally throw them out the fucking door. Like that's literally what I'm getting here, is there's no disrespect on this relationship, right? Because they're very much, they see you as their you know, ultimate, the force, right? They see you as the ultimate relationship, and it's not even getting to once, like before the words get out of their friend's mouth, they're like, get out the door, get out the door. Who do you think you are? Get out the door. And literally I'm seeing, even if they're friends for a long time, it's like, I think a lot of friendships and relationships around you may change because of that. And again, I want you to be discerning, okay? Like this wouldn't be in an unhealthy way. These are friendships that were maybe already unhealthy to begin with, that didn't reflect, you know, who they wanted to be as a person in and around their friends. I'm not saying dropping people who are healthy friendships. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm talking about people who are unhealthy friendships and who are jealous of this connection and who, you know, try to get between you. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, so again, be very discerning with that. I'm always saying, you know, when I do readings like this, I'm reading for you, but I'm the mirror. So true tarot readers will tell you that they are the mirror, right? I'm telling you what you already know to be true, and like the depth of yourself, okay? And so you really have to be discerning, like, is this the relationship that I'm talking about? And if it is, that's your king. That's your king. They're not about to mess around with you at all, and they're not about to let anyone else mess around with you, because like, as I said, they just want to be around you all the time, right? Okay. And there's also this word honorable that's coming up as well. They are extremely honorable in the way that they show up in their own life. Like they have a very high moral ground, okay? And they hold themselves to it. I'm getting like very King Arthur energy, like King Arthur and Guinevere, and he was just about Guinevere, right? He didn't even care, like, and this is this energy of someone who has honor, who shows up, and who is there not only for the people around them, but for this relationship in a very intense way. And they are so passionate about it, okay? And there's a grounded passion to it, okay? And so for many of you, this actually looks like someone who you would want to build a family with, have children with, because not only are they going to protect you, the boundaries around you, but they are also going to protect your children and nourish your children, and like basically have deep love for, you know, growing a family with you. It does feel like that energy for many of you is like That's what it is. And I feel like they also just want to see you, like, it's funny because, like, I'm seeing, like, you and, like, you're, you know, like, you're kind of, like, in your pajamas, like, kind of a mess, and they don't even care. They're just absolutely fascinated with you, right? They don't even care what you look like. They're just like, that's my person, you know? And again, there is this very intense soul level connection happening here, and also, like, a little bit of a past life connection happening here. And it's tangible, okay? So it's like when you two are in a room together, it's like almost all the oxygen gets, like, sucked out of the room, because the physical and energetic qualities of the two of you together, you're just like a loop. I see, like, the eternity loop, right? But that's your energies. It's just like you're looping back energies together, and you're just pouring into each other's cups, and you're just so locked in on each other. And so in this, as I'm saying this is, you know, feed into each other's cups, like let this relationship grow. And again, I'm gonna re-emphasize, protect this relationship in your early phases from outside influences. So again, don't post on social media, don't speak a lot about it, because it needs protection, it needs boundaries when it is still, like, vulnerable and new, okay? And I also feel the other thing about this person is they're very good at communication. They will straight up tell you what's going on, what's wrong. And, like, because that's also their boundary, is always communicating, you know, their needs as well, and also asking about your needs constantly. So it's like always getting that clarity. It's not someone who plays around in the gray area. They're not about that at all. They want to know, like, from your mouth, is this good, is this not good, what do you need, what do you not need? And also the other thing is, it's not even that they ask that, it's that they know what you need or you don't need, okay? They're already there. Like, say you're thirsty, just like them, and they're like, here babe, here, right? You don't even need to ask, because they're paying attention to you. Like I was saying, they are locked in on your energy, and they know that, like, especially I'm getting, like, people who have, like, you know, maybe you have some health issues or something, and maybe you don't pay attention to your health as much as you should. They're locked in. They're like, hey, it's time for you to drink. Hey, it's time for you to get out of the sun. Hey, do you want to go take a rest? Hey, you know, like, they're already there. They already know what you need, and they're just checking in on you, right? And they're already there with the drink, and they're like, here, you know, you should drink this. And so this is the type of relationship connection that I would want to read for. And this, like, just came out, and, like, again, it is exactly the sun on the bottom. So the pursuing of this relationship, the protecting of this relationship, and this is the persevering of this relationship. This has the possibility to go the distance, and that's really the way this is coming up. Yeah, that's a really great Divine Partners reading. And my name is Lindsey Rose. This is Storyteller Tarot. If you'd like your own personal reading, you can check out my links. I also do have a TikTok as well. I do mini readings over there, and I wish you guys well.